Yeah, now you understand why people are angry. It's like you buy a World War II game, hoping to fight for the right cause. In the first chapter, you turn around and you see this.
Das war ein Befehl! Der Angriff Steiners war ein Befehl!
And your first mission was to dive into the ocean, to capture the mermaids and put them in a concentration camp. And then, you find yourself fighting against the war heroes from the anti-fascist alliance in real history.
What the fuck?
Hello everyone, welcome back. I'm Jay the Storyteller, and as you can see, I'm not wearing my normal storytelling outfit. So this isn't gonna be one of the storytelling episodes. Just casual talks. Now you guys have been asking me to talk about the new Chinese game, Wuchang, the Fallen Feather. Well, here it is. Now, it might be to your surprise, despite sold a lot of copies, it was criticized a lot, and only 13% of its comments were positive in the Chinese Steam store. But why though? Why was it hated so much? Well, it's quite complicated to explain because it involved the Chinese history. And come on, we all know that history is long and blah 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 blah. So please just bear with me guys, and I'll try my best to make it as short as possible. Well, here it goes. Well, for the starter, you all know this game comes from a Chinese developer, right? But on the very day it was released, they dropped the prices in many other regions except for China. So clearly, many Chinese players, including myself, felt betrayed and disrespected. And its performance was poor on ordinary gaming PCs, such as mine that I bought 2 years ago. And it was perfectly fine when I was playing Black Myth Wukong. But no, when I played this game, it was like this. But we can just call them technical issues that can be fixed, so they weren't that big of a problem. The real problem was that most Chinese players felt scammed by the developer, because in Mandarin its name was the late Ming Dynasty Fallen Feather, not quite the Wuchang in English. And it happened to be a very controversial historical period, as there were rebels everywhere. In the end, foreign invaders came in and founded the new Qing dynasty. That might sound more familiar to you guys, as the last feudal dynasty in China. And most Chinese players thought this was going to be a game about that period, fighting against the Qing invaders, or fighting against both sides. Either way was fine. Now, don't get me wrong though, Qing dynasty was a very important part of the whole Chinese culture and history. By invaders, I meant in Ming dynasty's perspective, they were invaders. But Ming definitely had it coming. In its late stage, its emperors brought shames upon their names in every possible way. For example, there was an emperor led the imperial expedition with absolutely outnumbering soldiers and lost, and got captured by the enemy and held as a hostage because he put too much trust in a stupid eunuch, which was really the turning point of the whole dynasty. Really, there's nothing more shameful than that for the emperor to do. Let the whole nation lose a war that they were actually winning, which broke the spine of the whole nation and led to its downfall. After generations, the whole nation was full of corruption and exploitation. Furthermore, due to the lack of proper disaster relief measures, the ordinary people were at the point that they could not live anymore. I mean, literally, they could not live. People were eating dirt because there was no food, so they had to eat dirt to keep their stomachs full. Of course, that would eventually kill them, but they had no choice. And worse, in some areas, people were exchanging their children for food. Yes, you heard that right. People exchanged their children with others, because obviously you couldn't eat your own children. But that's how bad it got. And that's why there were so many rebels. I mean, the people are simple. Whoever can keep them fed and safe is a good ruler. And obviously in the late Ming dynasty, no emperors could do such a thing. That's why I said Ming had it coming. It was bound to be doomed, if not by the Qing army, then someone else. But on the other hand, the Qing army was no better than the late Ming. It was really just pick a poison kind of thing, as they slaughtered countless civilians, women and children on their way. And they wanted to control the Han people, the major ethnic group of China, by forcing the males to keep the rat-tail hair as a way to make them forget about their ancestors and heritage. Because in Chinese traditional value, there was a saying, 身体发肤，受之父母，不敢毁伤，教之始也. It basically means that our body, hair and flesh were given by our parents, and we mustn't do any damage to them as the fundamental of filial piety. In Western culture, it might just be different hairstyle, no big deal. But in ancient China, it was really that serious. The Qing army had a saying, keep your hair or keep your head. It was the beginning move of a complete denial of the traditional morals and values, so that their rule could be easier. And really at the time, the Han people were just treated as slaves. And that's how the Qing dynasty was founded, briefly. Yep, not a very pleasant story. So, like I said, it really was a pick of poison kind of situation in that time. Ming, Qing and rebel forces going at each other. And like always, it's the normal people who suffered the most from wars. So, like I said, it was really not a good time. Alright, now you have a basic understanding of what that time period was like. Let me explain to you why many Chinese players were pissed at this game. Obviously, this game wasn't about the historical events as its Chinese name was going for. People were disappointed because many players expected, defending the homeland and protecting the innocent kind of content. And if not, staying neutral and kill the bad guys from all sides was sounding good. But no. In the game, many bosses were real historical figures from Ming side, and some of them were even considered to be heroes in the actual history. And you can kill the civilians, the normal people who were suffering from the infection. And yet, none of your enemies were from the Qing side. Not even one. Yeah, now you understand why people are angry. It's like you buy a World War II game, hoping to fight for the right cause. In the first chapter, you turn around and you see this.
Das war ein Befehl! Der Angriff Steiners war ein Befehl!
And your first mission was to dive into the ocean, to capture the mermaids and put them in a concentration camp. And then, you find yourself fighting against the war heroes from the anti-fascist alliance in real history.
What the fuck?
I mean, it just doesn't make sense. Sure, the game itself could be fun to play, but not exactly what you were going for and expecting, because it had nothing to do with World War II, except for names. And that's kinda how this is. By using that Chinese name, the late Ming Dynasty, it put out a false expectation for the Chinese players to experience that particular period of history, and maybe fight against the invaders from the outside. And that was a big reason why it sold so many copies in China. And obviously, as you can imagine, people were disappointed when they found out there was no such thing in the game, but Chinese players can be tolerant. If we stay neutral and fight both sides, that would be fine. Ming and Qing dynasties. Even though they did many terrible things and hated by many nowadays, they were hated in a black sheep of the family kind of way. It's like having a junkie, alcoholic, and grumpy dad. No matter what bad things he does, he's still family. I mean, you'll be more than happy to whoop his ass if given the chance, but he's still family. And most Chinese players thought this game was gonna give us that chance, to kick some Ming Qing asses. Well, it was probably true. I mean, we did kick a lot of Ming ass. But like I said, hello? What the hell is the Qing force we want to kick their asses? And that's why many Chinese players are mad at the developer. They put nothing historical as the name was hinting, nor did they stay neutral regarding the Ming and Qing controversy, which makes you wonder what they were really up to. And that's why it was criticized so much. That was everything I have to say about the game Wuchang the Fallen Feathers at this point. Hopefully it can help you guys understand the controversies behind it. Now as for the gameplay, I haven't played long enough to make a comment, so I'll just leave a blank here. And please let me know what you think about the game in the comment section, and I'll be eager to look at them. But anyway, I'm Jay the Storyteller, and thank you for watching this episode. And also guys, I'm doing a series of videos to talk about traditional Chinese stories, such as mythology and other cultural contents. Right now, I'm working on the famous Chinese mythical novel, The Journey to the West, which is what the game Black Myth Wuchang was based on. So, if you're interested in that, please go check it out, and I will really appreciate it. Until then, 欲知后事如何，且听下回分解。